up? It's Breyonna. So today is the last day of my Colourpop Coming In Haute Collection series, which is really bittersweet because I've been having so much fun playing around with these palettes. But the one that we're going to be using today is called Statement Piece, and this is like the corally orange one. And I don't know if you feel this way too, but this one just screams summer to me. It's really bright and fun and really warm. And I don't know, I think it just has like this creamsicle kind of like goldy vibe to it. And again, I've done a separate video on each of these palettes, so if you'd like to check out any of the other looks I have done using this collection, I'll have them all linked in the description box down below for you. So off camera, I just prime my eyes, but looking at this palette, I feel like I can do my normal light to dark method using it. I don't feel like I have to treat it like a pressed pigment palette, because again, some of the palettes from this collection have acted more like pressed pigments and other ones have acted more like shadows. And I don't know, like just looking at this, I just have like a feeling that I can just do my normal method, so that's what I'm going to do. And the first shade I'm going to be going in with though is this really light peachy shade, and this one's called Blair. And I will warn you, like barely tapping my brush into it, it does get a little bit on the dusty side, so you'll want to be a little bit careful with it. And I'm just going to be taking it though in my crease, and oh my gosh, that is really pigmented. And I'm just taking it with this ES3 brush from Profusion. But I mean, dang, like that is something else. Again, I'm popping it in the crease and then blending it upwards towards my brow. And I'm also going to round out this outer V a little bit too. But I'm just going to take a little bit more on my brush just to build it up a little bit. And I am going to be smoking out this shade really far. I did this really cool look over on Instagram about like a month ago or so, and I just like blew out this like orange shade really far, and it just looks so pretty and summery. So I'm going to take inspiration from that. So you can kind of see I'm even going a little bit past my brow with the brush. And it doesn't have to be perfect either because again, I don't have foundation on, so I'm going to be kind of, you know, finessing this outer edge a little bit. But formula wise, I'd say that this shade is a little bit more of like a buildable type. It's not like super intense right away. So now I'm going to go in with the True Coral Matte shade, and I'm really excited about this one. This one is called Hoops, and this is the one that has the fleur-de-lis in it. And I'm going to be taking it on this brush from Anastasia. This is a A25. Again, I'm going to be first applying it in my crease because that's where I want the color to be the deepest. And then I'm going to be buffing it up. I'm also going to round out this outer V a little bit too. I'm just going to go in with a little bit more on my brush just to help build it up a little. Yeah, this shade's a little bit more on the buildable side too. But again, since I'm doing a fairly like blown out kind of eye look, it doesn't really matter about the blending that much. Like you just want to blend it so it all looks seamless. But if you go up a little too high, that's kind of the vibe we're going for. So I'm going to go in with a third layer too, just because I'm really curious. Yeah, this is like definitely a corally pink. What I really like about this shade though is that it kind of has like this neon kind of look to it. Like it's not a super neon type of shade, but it just has like that vibrancy to it. Then I'm just going to go back in with that brush that we applied Blair with no additional product on it, and buff out the edges and smoke it out even further. You can kind of see I'm going up and out with it. And when I get to this outer edge, I am bringing it down a little bit too because I am going to be blending this eye look into my blush today. So to deepen up the crease even further, I'm just going to go in with this kind of like hot orange shade. And this one's called Chainmail. And out of the other mattes, this one is like a definite orange. It doesn't have really any pink to it, in the pan at least. And I'm just going to be taking it on this brush from Morphe. It's in M507. And again, I'm going to be popping this in my crease. You see what I mean though? Like it's a definite orange. And then I'm rounding out the outer V as well. I'd say out of the three mattes we've used, this one is the most pigmented right away. Like, I don't feel like I even have to build it up if I don't want to. I am going to do a second layer, though, because I'm kind of nosy. Yeah, you definitely don't have to do 2 layers. You know, after applying this shade, though, I don't see much of a tone difference between Chainmail and Hoops. Like, I wish one of them was a little bit deeper than the other, just to get more definition. Especially with this palette only having 5 shades. Again, both of the shades are really beautiful. I just wish one was either lighter or one was a little bit deeper. You know, I'm going to take a little bit of Chainmail and kind of like pack it on in this outer third of my lid. Just using the same brush I've been using. And then I'm gonna buff it out. So now I'm gonna cut the crease, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of my ABH eye primer and just put a little bit on the back of my hand. Just like the tiniest amount. And then the liner brush that I'm going to be using is again from Sigma. This is an E11. I've been really liking this one lately. But I'm just gonna load it up. And you don't want like a glob of product, you just want to coat the hairs. And today I'm just going to be doing a half cut crease. So I'm going slightly above my natural crease and following the shape. And I'm going up to the point where my eye color stops on this outer edge. Now I'm just going to take a little bit more of that eye primer on this number 18 brush from Anastasia, and I'm just going to fill everything underneath of that line. And then for this outer edge, I'm just kind of like flicking whatever's left on my brush into this kind of like reddish shade, orangey shade. So for the lid, I'm first going to go in with this deeper shimmer shade, and this one's called Love Lock, and it's kind of like an orangey, kind of like goldish shade. And I'm just going to be popping this in the center of my eye. Ooh, that is really pretty. And also, like, this one's really metallic too right away. Again, it's not like a glittery type of shimmer. It's like the wet metallic type, like all of the other palettes have had. And I'm just going to go in with a second layer. This is such a pretty color though. This is one of the most like wet metallic and sparkly shades out of all the palettes. Because some of them are a little bit more on the wearable side with the shimmers. But this one is like super extra. And I'm also kind of like feathering it into this outer edge with whatever is left on my brush. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of chainmail and pack it on this outer edge and slightly overlap it with that shimmer. Just to blend everything together. And then for the rest of the lid, I'm just going to go in with this gold shimmer shade, and this one's called Diamond Cut. And I'm just going to be popping this in the inner third of my lid. And this one's really sparkly too. I mean, look at that. And I'm just going to do another layer too. Right away. But yeah, like that is definitely like a true gold. So I guess it would be more like a yellowy gold. And then I'm just going to slightly overlap it as well. You see what I mean though? Like they're not like that glittery type of shimmer. They're like that wet metallic. So I just applied the rest of my makeup off camera, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to blend out this edge a little bit further. And I'm just taking that brush that we applied Blair with nothing additional on it. And I am just smoking this out. And I mean, like, I'm going onto my cheekbone and bringing it kind of towards my temple. You can kind of see, I'm really just kind of like taking the shape and going up and out and kind of bringing it down too. When we do the lower lash line too, it'll kind of blend into this area as well. And now let's do the lower lash line just so it really comes together. And I'm first just going to go back in with the palette. And I'm going to go in with hoops because honestly I don't see much of a difference between this shade and Chainmail. And I'm just going to be taking it on this little shader brush from the Morphe Madison Beer collection and running it really close to my lash line. Again, I'm just doing these little back and forth motions. You know what, I'm going to do a second layer too. So now I'm going to go in with Blair on this brush from Moda. It's like a little small little blending brush. And I'm going to smoke this right underneath to help further blend it out. And then I'm also going to connect it with this outer edge. Again, when I'm doing this, I'm doing back and forth motions. And then lastly, for the inner corner highlight, I'm just going to go back in with Diamond Cut. And I'm just going to be taking it on this brush from Colourpop. It's an E28. Just a little small pencil brush. But yeah, it's kind of like a gold, but with almost like an orangey yellow kind of feel to it. Just a really fun color. And I'm also going to kind of take it a little bit underneath the inner tear duct area too. Maybe about halfway in. And I'm going to do a second layer too. Because again, I want this inner corner to be really bright. Okay, but this look is just giving me full-on summer vibes. But let's talk about the palette and let's go over the mattes in here. And again, like the mattes are just so beautiful and they literally just melt together just flawlessly. Again, if you're a beginner, you're not going to struggle with this palette. And it literally just kind of like blends itself out, which is really nice. This first matte that we use though, called Blair, now this one is a little bit more on the sheer side. So you're gonna have to do about 2, if not 3 layers to get it to look like it does in the pan. Again, it has a buildable formula, it's just initially it's not that pigmented. To me, Hoops and Chainmail are a little bit more pigmented than Blair is, but again, they do have a more buildable formula to them. Even though I love the formula of the mattes in here, I feel like I wouldn't need both Hoops and Chainmail in the same palette. They kind of look very similar in tone. Again, Chainmail is more of like an orange, whereas Hoops is more of like a corally pink. But for how they applied, I didn't see that much of a difference between the two. As for the shimmers in this palette, oh my gosh, like they are so creamy and metallic. Like if you like a good extra shimmer, you're gonna fall in love with these. Like this first shade that we used called Love Lock, this one's kind of like an orangey metallic that has just a little bit of a gold hue to it. And this other one called Diamond Cut, now this one is just really interesting because it's kind of like a gold shade, but it has like this yellowy orange kind of hue to it. So would I recommend this palette? Honestly, I think this palette is amazing and just really great quality. Again, the mattes in here have a really nice formula to them and they're very easy to work with. And the shimmers have a lot of shine to it too. Like if you're into orangey corals, I think this palette's just gonna be perfect, especially going into summer. What I really like about this palette though is that it's kind of like a vibrant coral with some orangey gold pops to it. And what's really nice about this palette compared to the other 4 in this collection is that you can do some normal, everyday kind of looks with it. Because again, the shimmers in here do have a little bit more of a gold vibe to them, so I feel like they would work perfect with, you know, your warm tone neutrals. And also this Blair shade is kind of like a peachy coral, so I think you could even wear that one, you know, as like a light wash of color on the eye. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this look, and also let me know what your favorite palette is out of this collection. But as always though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's @Breyonna as well. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!